What do you think of when Albuquerque, New Mexico is mentioned? That book Summer of Fear by Lois Duncan, which is set in Albuquerque, NN. I read it sometime in middle school and was obsessed with visiting New Mexico. I absolutely loved her books. At some point, I learned that one of the author's daughters was murdered in the 80s. The author helped found a research center devoted to solving cold cases. I don't think they ever solved her daughter's murder, though, and she passed away in 2015. I hope she found peace. My brother-in-law has a brother named Marco, and their relationship is strained. During COVID, we would shout Marco waiting for Polo when someone came home to see who it was. But Bill admitted he wanted to change it to literally anything else. Be settled on. You guessed it, Albuquerque and New Mexico. None of us have ever been to the state or city. We still use it to this day. It puts a smile on my face. It used to be Breaking Bad, but now I think of a really bad experience I had at a Buffalo Wild Wings there a couple of months ago. I ordered a beer. They carded me. My license was expired. They refused to serve me. I'm 48 years old. My buddy ordered a beer. I pretended to take a drink of it. The bartender came over and confiscated the beer from us. We left. So yeah, don't love the BWW in ABQ. It's long closed, but the Spearmint Rhino Gentlemen's Club had a huge rhino on the sign. Not a picture, an actual rhino sculpture. My family was taking a road trip to Collie, and we stopped in ABQ for gas. I just so happened to wake up from a nap when we stopped, and the rhino was the first thing I saw. It's burned into my memory for some reason, and it's my first thought anytime it's mentioned. I had to go there for a work trip, and everyone at the office asked me what Breaking Bad related things I saw. They were disappointed when I said none. Side note, I was warned by multiple locals that my rental car would be broken into and watch out for homeless meth heads. I didn't have any issues, and honestly, it seemed pretty tame compared to home Los Angeles. But maybe I got lucky. Rabbits taking wrong turns. One of the many American towns which people only know exists because Chuck Jones thought it had a funny sounding name. Right up there with Chattanooga, Tennessee. Walla Walla, Washington. Then you realize these are probably names from the indigenous nations. But then that's not even like top 100 most racist things Bugs Bunny did. Brown. The city is so brown. The landscape and architecture are the same shade of unflattering brown. I do not think I have ever been to an American city that did not have a nice part. I have been there twice, and both times I could not wait to leave. Thankful, I only had to spend 2 days and 1 night there. My friend and her dad stopped there to fill up with gas when they were driving her across the country to go to college, and their car was stolen at the station. It had all of her stuff in it for her new life in the freshman dorms. It's been 30 years, and I still think of that when I hear Albuquerque. I grew up in Australia and made 1 trip overseas before I finished university. I wound up passing through Albuquerque on my way to somewhere else, and it makes me think of this song by the Psychotic Turnbuckles. Drugs and trouble. I worked with a girl who had to get away from there because of it. Despite her best efforts there, she kept falling back in with bad crowds. I'm not saying the whole place is bad or anything like that, but that's what pops into my head first. So there's a song by Slayer where the opening lyric is, "Trapped in Purgatory," and years ago a buddy of mine would always sing it as, "Trapped in Albuquerque," so that's what I think of when Albuquerque is mentioned. The countless number of true crime cases I've researched or followed that occurred in Albuquerque, Oregon, Washington, Virginia. There's a few places that have an automatic association for me, and that's one of them. I lived there for 7 years and learned it was so much more than Bugs Bunny's navigational error. Breaking Bad came out after I moved away, and I found I had to tell people it's not all like the show portrayed. I just remember thinking I wouldn't want to live there when I visited. It wasn't great either, and it's kind of isolated. That being said, I want to go back and try their burger places. It deserves the shithole moniker that it is. I travel there a lot, and every time I'm there I witness some type of criminal activity, usually dealing drugs. The areas surrounding Kirtland are pretty bad. 2 things: Bugs Bunny taking a wrong turn, and the Simpsons episode where the local baseball team was going to be sold to Albuquerque, and to protest Homer goes on a hunger strike. The scene in No Country for Old Men when the motel blows up on Central Ave Route 66. The frontier across from UNM at 3:30 a.m. in the back by the big John Wayne paintings. The worst allergies of my life and an overall depressing place. And asking the locals where the high crime areas were to avoid, and they gestured at the entire city on a map. Reminds me of this really cool lady I met while on vacation in Spain. She was from Albuquerque and told me all about her life. She ended up spending the day with us. The police officer that murdered the homeless guy living in the foothills. A really corrupt police department in general. Hatch Chili's, New Mexico United. The Springfield Isotopes. And when Ozzy told Sharon I'm not going to Albuquerque, and the very next shot was of him saying, "Hello Albuquerque" on the Ospens. Grandma's house, the North Valley pre-gentrification. The streets of downtown ABQ where my ancestors walked the way my soul feels at ease whenever I come home. When I first got there, found some sort of street festival with grilled corn, LZ pork tacos and New Mexico's first all-gay mariachi band playing. Great night. I mean, I live here, so not much. It's just another place. A lot of your standard American things with our own NN culture added in to make things interesting. All I know is, when my daughter's husband got transfer orders from the branch of military he is in, she refused to go. He was able to get a different transfer, living in a box under the stairs in the corner of the basement of the house half a block down the street from Jerry's bait shop. You know the place. Blake's Lotaburger, Garcia's Kitchen, Sopa Pillars, Embudo Trail. The smell of the rain. Dad's brisket. Nothing to do and content with that space. The Frontier Restaurant. Always visited there anytime I was in Albuquerque. Also the Botanical Gardens Zoo. Had good memories there as a kid. F4 Base with Ospreys. Nukes though they aren't there. Prairie dogs. Big ass dust devil. A good restaurant in the back of a pharmacy. The Bayer Park. Harley Davidson store. And a balloon festival. I grew up a couple hours away and I absolutely loved going there on weekends. The 4 years I lived there. Got married, bought a house, started my tech career and met one of my very best friends. ABQ was good to me. This is super specific. But when Riley says it in National Treasure, I think it was on the Charlotte, Albuquerque Sea. I can do it too. That's where I went to school. It was interesting. But for the locals, Frontier and the War Zone, and don't forget Balloon Fiesta. Good old Duke City place is a shithole. Decent casinos, but they don't give free drinks and a lot of people smoke at the game tables. In National Treasure, Sean Bean's character says prison and after a pause Riley says Albuquerque. See, I can do it too. Snorkel. Feeling altitude sickness on the way from there to Santa Fe. I'm from the southeast. At sea level. I'm not used to all that. Friends and their daughter live nearby. Great restaurant on Church Street. Attractive freeways. Sunshine. Rio Grande. If I lived in Albuquerque, I would start a turkey farm and I would dry the meat and make Albuquerque turkey jerky. Dollar pound, dollar. Saturday morning cartoons when I was a little kid. I think they use Albuquerque because it sounds funny to children. The Anodyne. Taqueria, Mexico. I-25. Close to Santa Fe, born and raised. And avoiding Jefferson during rush hour. Well, they say that Santa Fe is less than 90 miles away, and I got time to roll a number and rent a car. My name is Walter Hartwell White. I live at 308 Negro Arroyo Lane, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87104. The only place I could still find a Taco Bell with chili cheese burritos. 1010 would live there. I spent a year of college there at UNN. I miss it and would like to revisit ABQ at some point. High crime, beggars and urban outdoorsmen at every corner on most intersections, accessible. Sandia Peak, the tramway, and Old Town, especially Arnitas. Love the huge rock shop nearby. The Hot Air Balloon Festival. But that's only because I have a few friends from New Mexico. If I'm less than 90 miles away, stopping when I can for some fried eggs and country ham. Weird Al Yankovic's Albuquerque and screaming it at the top of my lungs while driving. Riley in National Treasure blurting it out, Albuquerque, see I can do it too. Snorkel. Sappers jazz discharge party hats. Dry heat. I stepped off a train there once and it was like being hit with a hammer. About radio station KOB. Have not heard them in a while. But they were pretty good. Was born there 40-something years ago. And still have no idea how to spell it lol. Discure with Bryan Cranston. Red chili. Green chili. And the doghouse on Central, hope it's still there. I had not so great experiences there during trip, so that's what I think of. A total crime-ridden dump with a lot of meth and very hot, dry, arid weather. Bugs Bunny. Edit, so it's a universal thing, huh? I'm proud of all of us. The fantastic balloon fiesta, which is one of my favorite travel memories. Prison, Albuquerque, see. I can do it too. Snorkel, National Treasure. Best green chili enchiladas I've ever had. Made by a sweet Philippine lady. Halfway to Phoenix, live in Denver, and would travel to Phoenix for work. The Simpsons, that's the kind of bold flavor they enjoy in Albuquerque. My childhood. Beautiful sunsets. Excellent NM food. Full balloon fiesta. Need a new dust filter for my Hoover Max Extract Pressure Pro Model 60. Meth. Murder. Drunk drivers and really good food. Source live here. In Plain Sight was set there. It was a really good underrated show. Turkish. Totally corrupt police force murdering innocent citizens.